important. I'd like to hear what you do here. What's your choice of drink or food at the turn?
When I'm playing golf, I don't usually do a ton of either of that. I'm
Okay,
usually after the round. I
got it.
like to go in and get, what is it? It's been a while since I've ordered there. I used to get the club sandwich. Now I'm vegan.
Oh,
So that ain't happening. But I'm not a huge fan of food and drink while I'm golfing, to be honest.
okay.
Afterwards, I like a
Okay.
nice draft Oberon afterwards out on the
Okay.
deck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Why have you gone vegan?
Yeah, that's an interesting topic. We could go
Why, why or when? What'd you say, Biro?
both.
I didn't know this.
Both.
Why? So when my dad passed away, basically, I learned more about that, and I did some research on. Um, I wanted a cardiologist, a specialist that I could talk to and just basically tell him everything.
Mm.
And so I found this guy. His name's Dr. McNamara. He's awesome. And I basically said, "Hey, I want to live, and I want to tell you everything that I do, and I want you to make sure that I don't die." And so after I meet with him once a year, and after about 5 years, he was like, "Hey, I've never really gotten into this. Because I've never really seen it make a huge difference from a dietary standpoint. He's never really gotten into, oh, you got to do this, this, and this. He knew it mattered, but um, he ended up in his own personal life taking out just red meat specifically. And he saw that it had a huge impact on bringing his LDL number down. So the LDL number is one of the primary things that people monitor uh, when it comes to the heart. So um, he started monitoring mine, and he explained, in the Western world, we want it to be X. Worldwide, it's a little bit lower, but because Americans uh, have a different diet and a different lifestyle, it's a little bit higher than that. But you actually want to be at X. So the biggest thing that he's seen that's had an impact on that is going completely plant based. So there's vegetarian and then there's vegan. And he said, I don't really, for me, it's not about animal rights. It's not about X, Y, or Z. It's the thing that I've seen have the biggest impact on your LDL numbers. So I want you to watch this documentary, and then I want you to try it out yourself. My role as your cardiologist is to tell you what's going to work. I've seen this work dramatically for a lot of my patients. So check it out. So Ton and I started doing it about 6 or 7 months ago. Um, when I say I'm vegan, I'm not vegan. I'm more vegetarian because we still have cheese, we still have dairy, but we've cut out meat completely. Um, and
Biggest thing that you
yeah,
feel from it?
for me, I don't. I generally feel pretty good. I usually have energy. I usually feel pretty good overall throughout the day. um I feel like I can be active, and I don't feel much difference. I've noticed I started doing Orange Theory, and I do it with a couple of buddies where it gets pretty competitive, and we've done some challenges where we try to run a mile as fast as we can, or we try to run for 12 minutes and see if we can get 2 miles in, that type of stuff. I've actually seen it in that my endurance has been dramatically different um, after going plant based.
Wow.
So
Are you
there's a
ever,
lot of what's up?
are you ever concerned about that you won't get enough protein? That's always kind of the biggest
Yeah,
argument
tons of
against.
people say that. I've said that.
Yeah,
Um, I have not been worried about it. The only thing I supplement
because he's so huge to begin with.
is a
Yeah.
multivitamin. Is a multivitamin, and then I'll have a protein shake as well,
Oh,
a couple times a week. But no, I have not worried about that. I haven't noticed any difference in that. So one thing for me that was very entertaining is the documentary that he had me watch was called The Game Changers. It's done by an MMA guy. Schwarzenegger is actually one of the producers, I think. It's called The Game Changers. It's on Netflix. Um, it's a really interesting documentary, and that's the one that kind of got my wheels spinning. So right after that came out, the Joe Rogan had a guy on that just him and Joe Rogan completely just shredded the documentary, and um, basically just disqualified a lot of the things that were in the documentary. And one of the things I like about Joe Rogan is he's pretty open-minded, and he can disagree with somebody but have a healthy educational conversation about it. So he said, hey, we should have, I know the guy that did this documentary because Joe's involved in MMA. So he knew the guy. I think his name's James Wilkes. And he offered to have him on. So he had that guy on, and it was Joe Rogan, that nutrition specialist. I think I forget Chris Kessler, I forget his name. And then James Wilkes. And so after they shredded the documentary, they had him on to defend himself against two guys that are pretty knowledgeable and that just shredded something that took you 7 years to make on the number one podcast in the nation. Your documentary just got shredded. So they had him on to kind of defend himself and defend or kind of give counterpoints to the stuff that they said. And it was fascinating. That I would recommend.
Mm.
I don't know if you have any time on your hands right now, but I would recommend in this order: watch the Game Changers,
Okay.
then watch the Joe Rogan podcast. I can send you the number, but it's the Joe Rogan podcast where he kind of debunks the Game Changer. And then immediately after that, there's another podcast where he brings on James Wilkes and they dive into it. You're not going to agree with everything. Both of the podcasts are like 2.5 hours long. But I would recommend watching the YouTube version of them, unless you're running or something, so you can see the body language and the facial expressions of everybody. It's very interesting. My goal is to get the LDL number down. I'll go back in 6 months and check it out. But overall, I would say that I felt better. I don't know if that's like a placebo effect where I'm just, I don't know if that's the right terminology, but mentally I feel like I should feel better because I'm being more intentional about what I'm eating. But I know for a fact that I felt it when we were doing those endurance challenges.
Did
I
you
was
lose
not,
weight?
I didn't really lose a lot of weight. My weight is different. Than, there's a lot of different versions of 195.
Yeah.
I definitely, my body has changed. I've not lost a lot of weight. I've lost about, 5 to 8 pounds. But I definitely feel stronger, and I feel like I have more endurance and stamina, specifically on like, high intensity type stuff, like running a fast mile.
Can vegan have alcohol or sugar?
Yeah. No animal products.
But
Just
that's
vegan.
it. No animal products.
Yep.
Not
Okay.
even.
I'm not an expert, but that's the way I understand it. The main difference
fish?
between vegan and vegetarian is no fish,
Oh,
no animal products at all. So,
right.
And that people could be laughing at me right now. Hopefully one of our 7 viewers doesn't know more about this than me. I think the big difference between vegetarian and vegan is they're both of them are the majority of it's plant-based, but the difference is they cut out dairy products, because they come from animals.
Very cool.